I'm reading some of the patient stories from the Wolston Park Hospital review that has just been released. These stories contain warnings for physical and sexual abuse. Participant 23, patient. I often wonder why, nearly 30 years on, why does the memory of that place and my time there, a mere 6 months or so, remain frozen in my heart and mind? Why does it not age with my years? Why am I unable to forget? It lives in a bolted up vault somewhere way upstairs of the floor in which I conduct my everyday life. There is reason, I suppose, why I keep that door bolted, why it takes so long to prise those old bolts open, why I can hardly lift the door ajar, and then, finally, once the contents are allowed out, why it is so difficult to shove it all back in. The short answer, gleaned from having recently undergone this process, is that my time at the facility was chaos. I had just turned 14 years old, and I felt my life was at an end. My legal status, unclear. A return to the family home, a fearful possibility that was also unclear. My academic future, unclear. A future life, unclear. I did not know whether I would live or die or how long I would remain in limbo at this facility. Was I safe here? No, not really. Not by a long shot. Oh, the nurses themselves weren't physically harmful, not in my time, or at least not to me. But I was a good girl. The only time hands were clapped on me within the unit were to restrain or contain, a necessary part of the nature of things. The place was violent, though. On one hand, there were frequent acts of violent self-harm witnessed in my fellow patients, at other times violent restraint seen managing absconders. There was also, deep and dark in my memory, a violent sexual assault I experienced at the hands of a doctor in another part of the hospital. The place was mean by its very nature. The beautiful old trees and grounds just barely holding back the whirlwind of psychic force and known history of many of those old buildings. It was not a place for young people. Words can be violent too, powerful and sharp, and actions. Your words can be turned upside down in just one day because someone made a decision to place a restriction on you, take away a privilege, or place you somewhere else God knows where. When you live at the absolute mercy of those in power over you, it messes with your mind, your self-concept, your development. The feeling is one of chaos, and it is not safe. That is why, moment by moment, the memories of this place remain trapped. There isn't an overarching week by week, month by month narrative coming from me, because the reality is, I remember my time there moment by moment. You never knew what was about to happen, but you felt the dread. Sometimes your dread was mistaken, because nothing happened that day and you remember sharing laughter. Sometimes the dread was all too real. Some of my peers died. Not at the facility when I was there, but soon after. Or when they were in between admissions. Many more almost died, and I witnessed it front row, center. I spoke before about words. Too many instances I remember that I don't wish to repeat. But I do wish today's practitioners to understand. Words are powerful. Sometimes they are never forgotten, not even 30 years into the future. If you are burned out and bitter, be kind to yourself and get a new job. There is never any benefit to telling a 15-year-old kid that they will never amount to anything. Such brash cruelty is violent and long-reaching. The antidote, surprisingly, is not necessarily kind words, but presence. I recall one particular nurse who stood out to me as having the knack of the presence better than all the rest. You knew you were safe with her. It wasn't about any particular words she said, it was the way she regarded you. Kindness, non-maleficence, judgment suspended. She continues to inspire me to this day. There was one truth I would like to express to the Queensland Health Director above all else. I am alive, but I am traumatized. My life was saved 30 years ago, but I am damaged by my time within the WPH complex. This will never be repaired, nor will it go away. I am forever changed.